wanted to show you guys my first smoker. Uh, Finally found a used one. It's a little beat up, but it should work perfectly fine. Like all the functionality is there, so we're good in that aspect of it. You can see I already got it filled up. This is good seasoned firewood. I haven't been burning a lot of clean, kind of well dried wood, so it's gonna be nice to finally treat one of my cookers to some beautiful timber. Speaking of beautiful timber, I had a comment asking about mulberry handles. Well, I did make one a little while ago. Uh, it is dark and dirty from what's it called? Sharpening knives. I think my hands had like uh, metal dust on them. Anyway, check out this little hatchet head. It's only a pound. A little stiletto. I use this to carve sometimes. Here, let's take a little piece of walnut. I guess I gotta move the camera. All right. You know what? Let me be smart. Let me move something. Let me move the table, carving table. I got some more stuff to show you guys too. Oh, that was a backbreaker. I did just cut myself a little. Very dumb. Anyway, you're talking about the guy who used to wear sandals too much. Okay, so I want to show you how effective this little carver is. It's really fun to use. All right, let's move this. I brought this for a reason. This is that McKinnon Rockaway that's badly damaged. We'll talk about that after we do a little carving. Okay. Look how effective this little 1-pounder is. This is not how you would carve. I'm just showing you how effective this bad boy is. And my favorite part about this thing is because it's only 1 pound, it's very good for curves. You see how that slight curve? Really good for curving. Um, I use this as like a fine detail hatchet, fine detail carving hatchet. See if I can make something that's a shape. Let's see if I could geometrically do something here. Rounded. Round. Round thing. With pointy. Round pointy. Anyway. This, I also brought this out for a reason. This is heavier. I made a handle for this too. This is a more recent handle. A pin oak handle. I think it looks okay. You can see what I meant when I was talking about the red oak, the last handle for the H.H. Holmes video. Kind of does look like pin oak a little bit with the heartwood, right? A little bit. I think I actually prefer that red oak with the gray sapwood. I think that sapwood's really cool. So let's see what this does. This one's heavier. Oh, forgot to show you. Taiwanese. This is Taiwanese. I picked it up because it kind of looks like a national pattern. I call this a Taiwanese national pattern. And it's really fucking awfully made. Let me tell you, the eye was all over the place. Look at the edges I had to put on this. Look at the difference. Really uneven edge. It's still uneven. You can kind of see it's wavy. I should have just bit the bullet and went like this at 90 degrees to kind of fix it up, but I kind of just kept going thinking I could. But the steel was already wavy. Like it was already wavy in this way and uneven, so probably not even, but you don't really need even. All you need is an apex to carve. Wow, I might like the extra weight for this part, for dialing it in when it's really rough. usually I would just, make a spatula. This is how I'd make a spatula. Now you do your slicing cuts. You see how I'm kind of pulling towards myself? That's a slicing cut, and that'll get you a smoother finish. Very important when you don't want to do much work with your knife, or maybe you don't have the luxury of using the knife. And that knife would probably be a Sloyd. Sloyds are, I'm just wasting away this walnut, but anyway, yeah, Sloyds are probably the best knife for carving utensils. Anyway, let's show you this. So remember this? Remember this axe I thought was a Rockaway pattern? I don't know how I missed it in the video, but this thing has curl. This handle has curl. So either this was a really special axe to someone, and then another douchebag destroyed it, or this guy had no idea the beauty. I mean, these get expensive. Handles with curl, when people know what they have, look at that. It's like a tiger. When people know what they have, and then they make a correctly shaped handle, like a good handle out of that lumber, man, that's an expensive handle. Let me tell you, that's worth. Actually, there's a guy on Instagram, Keen Timber Tool. He makes some of the best. He's one of the best handle makers, I think. Probably the top. He's probably at the top of the game. With when it comes to repetition, he has this new what's it called? A vintage handle line of handles. So they're all like based on old templates. Beautiful stuff. But yeah, I think he's at the top, and he just made. Well, not just, but a little while ago, he made a curly handle, and you don't even, it's more than most axe heads that are special, because it's such a special handle. You don't use a special handle like this. If I would have found this, new old stock, or the eye wasn't crunched, and it wasn't as special of a head, I would have taken this handle off, and I would have used it on the best axe head I have. I would have restored the best axe head I have on this bad boy. Uh-oh. This is finally getting a little loose. It wasn't loose before. You can hear it. It's all about the sounds here over at Ethical Axe. But so yeah, that's one Rockaway. Sorry, I get emotional about this one. That's one Rockaway. Here's another one, and you're thinking, what's going on here? Why is it a Rockaway if there's nothing there? What are you talking about? There's no lugs, Brian. Mr. Ethical. Brian Ethical. Yeah, that's true. Uh-oh. Fix this. Yeah, there are no lugs. I can't get it straight. I'm sorry, guys. I'm too upset about this. That's because I removed them. Like a silly little boy, I removed the lugs because they were extremely damaged. You can even see some of the damage still up here. Yeah, you can. I did cut myself a tiny bit. If I cut myself bad, I would have brought more attention to it. But it was just, when you do this stuff, you cut yourself. So when it's a little cut, you're like, it doesn't. It's not even like bleeding. You know what I mean? It's just like a little blood. So you kind of get used to cutting yourself. But you could see the damage right here, and both lugs were damaged severely. And so I took a little bit off, and now it looks like a cedar pattern, doesn't it? But this is a huge Rockaway. It was a massive mistake, guys. I should have just kept it for the history. Oh man, biggest Rockaway I would have ever found. This is it was probably 4.5 pounds at least at the time. And the mushrooming and damage on the pole was severe, so I removed a lot of that. And I removed, who knows if there was anything on the pole, any stamps, but I couldn't see any stamps before. You can see how far this mushrooming came over. I mean, damn. Look at the cracking, breaking. What do you guys think? Was this something, was this a tragedy? Or, this was before I knew any better. I would have definitely been more hesitant to do this, having known that it's a fucking huge Rockaway. I've never seen a Rockaway this big in person. Big boy. A big Rockaway. Not a, not like the best splitter in the world. This is more like a heavy cross-cutting axe with decent ability to pop chips. Not like the best, but you know, it's got some thickness to it. It's not super, super thin. And yeah, I ruined it like an idiot. You can see it does have curve, so it's definitely a rockaway, or it was at one time. Anyway, that's my siren song. I don't know what that means. Best I could do with this now. That's no edge, but you ever see guys that take tomahawks off the handle and they're like, yeah, this is normal. It's like a knife. No. By the way, can I just say knives are kind of like, there's a lot of, there's a big kind of like groundswell of people that think knives are a great bush tool, like bushcraft people. I don't know what they're talking about. This is it. This is the best thing you can get in the bush. If you're in the if you're in a hardwood forest, or really any forest with significant timber, why wouldn't you have a hatchet and an axe, or or you can do a lot with just an axe if it's set up correctly. You can carve with an axe. You just have to get out of the way of your handle. Like watch, when you're carving, you can't go like this. It's gonna hit you right in the nuts, which I've done so many times. I actually can't give birth. Well, other than being a man, I can't give birth because the tip of a handle while I was carving. Terrible incident. Not as bad as the ice axe, but it's up there, you know. Actually, some would say it helped with me not being able to give birth. Anyway, this is how you guys bushcrafters are doing it. No, I'm sorry. I do like to make fun of. I kind of kept that inside, but I do like making fun of bushcraft stuff. My big problem with bushcraft for a while, after I learned like skilled craft, like making a handle, um, timber framing, it's like such a low level of these things. That's my problem with a lot of bushcrafting. Now there's maybe this is just the mainstream kind of like a lot of bushcraft is just people showing off the things they just bought online, but I'm sure in person there's a lot of guys where there's some very interesting and useful things to learn from them. It's just I don't see much of it online. Let me tell you, I was led so astray before. I had a machete before I ever had an axe, and I was into heavy chopper machetes. And these people on YouTube would talk about heavy chopping machetes in a context of wood processing, and that's just silly. I mean, a heavy chopping machete isn't really for anything. This is better than this is tiny as hell, and this is better than a heavy chopping machete. I mean, it's a little crazy, and you can also there's not a huge market for buying a heavy chopping machete that's vintage, so it's not like there's a lot of history and value there because I just don't see a lot of them. Maybe if I'm in South America or if I'm in Florida, maybe there's a hand tool market for vintage machetes. Maybe I'm wrong about this and I'm just not thinking. But I don't know. I just the history part of axes is such an interesting part. You know, you could always think back, oh well, this this isn't 100 years old, but let's just say this is 100 years old. You know, you go, well, back then, the Great Depression didn't even happen yet, or Prohibition was still going on. When, for instance, let's just imagine this is a G.W. Bradley. You know, the car might not even have been invented. It's just so much cooler to be able to grab a hand tool you can swing and do work with, and then you can go to a camera, do a show and tell, and go, was born in the 1950s. Walter Cronkite built this with his bare hands in the middle of the forest. Okay, Walter Cronkite's like a journalist. You know what I'm saying, though, guys? I don't know. I just and you can't making a handle, like making handle scales, is to me much harder. So if you have to replace a handle of a machete, you got to be skilled. You have to have more tools, I can make a hatchet handle just with another hatchet. Uh, Pretty much just with another hatchet. I mean, if it really came down to it, I could do the wedge. By the way, this is all my lumber. This is a white oak wedge and a mulberry handle, if you guys weren't paying attention earlier. Yeah, I could do it with just a hatchet. This hatchet would be good for making another hatchet handle, um, if it came down to it. But when it comes to machete handle, you need epoxy, you need pins. Let's see, you need a drill. Um, it's just a lot more involved with the restoration. Pretty much all I can do is sharpen an old machete, you know. Uh, Let me put this beautiful handle up here while I'm talking. Yeah, I don't know, guys. What do you guys think? Do you guys have like kind of weird feelings towards bushcrafting? Like I said, my biggest problem with it is what's maybe most public about it. That doesn't mean that like Moore's Kachansky, I think that's his name. I have his book. That's a great book. But he talks about timber like in the real way. The guy used axes. Uh, to like bushcraft people, they need like a $400 knife to make feather sticks, and that's the only part of bushcraft to them. I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little shit. Am I being a little shit? Are you looking at my crotch and going, "What the hell is this guy directing his crotch for?" He doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know how to use the camera. Guy's a fucking idiot. I love bushcraft. I wouldn't disagree with you on that one. Bushcraft has its merits. I just anything commercialized, it gets ruined. There's no such thing as like a good. Do you ever go on on your phone or go to YouTube or however you listen to music and go, what's the best like most commercial thing? Let me listen to Disney. I want to listen to the Disney soundtrack. That's for kids that they haven't had their soul sucked out of their body by by some big corporation yet. Could be got. I will say non-governmental organization or governmental organization. Yeah, they could both fuck yeah, both the same. Not much of a difference. Did I mention that I was learning about the West Virginia coal mine wars a little while ago? I think I mentioned it in a video, but I'm not sure. Man, what people used to have to go through sometimes, it's just crazy. Like, can you imagine you work a job and then the working conditions and living conditions, which they force the living conditions upon you, they stole your land. You lived off the land and you barely needed help from anybody. And now they stole your land because of paperwork bullshit, because you just didn't so happen to like officially have land on paper. They stole it, and then the working conditions, living conditions are so bad that you and thousands of other of your coworkers rise up and literally fight a war against a secret, a militarized police, like a mercenaries and a coal mining company. I mean, it's just insane. Maybe it was more than one company. I forget exactly how that worked, but yeah, I mean, I will say about bushcraft, it's kind of like these guys want to be free. So, speaking of having having been terribly oppressed by coal mining companies, it is nice that these guys are just doing what they enjoy. They enjoy the woods, I guess, and they enjoy a campfire. They enjoy kind of sleeping in a tent type deal. Um, what else? What is bushcraft to you guys? I guess that's actually a good question because everybody has their like definition of what is bushcraft to me, and how I kind of enact bushcraft on bush. How are you crafting bush? You shave your pubes? What do you do? Okay, guys, that's about enough out of me. Thanks for watching. So sorry about everything I've ever done to you.